If you only feel valuable when you are producing, you are not driven. You're actually scared. And hustle can be a mask. Last time I talked about burnout and how we can get to the place of burnout by overriding. And today I want to talk about something that is connected and similar, which is the signs of toxic productivity or even toxic overachievement. So if you are noticing any of these within yourself and in your life, these could be an indication that you are struggling with toxic productivity.
Hey, and welcome to Masks Off Inner Freedom for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. This is a podcast for those who are tired of holding it all together. I'm Kim Gross, your host, and if you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things, but still feel anxious, disconnected, or quietly burned out, you're in the right place. Here we talk about the patterns you don't even realize you're living inside of: self-abandonment, overfunctioning, chasing approval, and mistaking productivity for your worth, and more. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about remembering who you were before you learned to perform, perfect, and please to belong. Each week, we'll slow things down. We'll unpack the nervous system, the inner critic, and the subtle ways that you learned to disconnect from your true self so you can stop living from pressure and start living from presence. This is your space to take the masks off. So let's begin.
So first of all, if you have an inability to rest without feeling guilt, that could be one. If you feel behind, even though you're not, because behind what, behind who? It's this invisible or imagined belief system that we have that we are falling behind. So that's a second one. A third sign of toxic productivity could be that you start doing things super fast and you're moving all the time through one activity to the next, probably because you're avoiding some type of feeling that's underneath the surface. So that's a third one. And then the fourth sign of toxic productivity could be that you actually measure or equate your worth, how worthy you are as a human being, based upon how much output you have, how much you accomplish, how much you achieve. And there's always, or very often, a sense of this constant urgency. So those would be some of the signs of toxic productivity. And a lot of times this can come up for us or be an issue for us when we particularly are seeking approval. We may even be addicted to approval of others, because if you're constantly producing and performing, then oftentimes that comes with some validation. Oh my God, Kim's amazing. Like, she can get everything done. Look how much she does. She's so competent, like uber competent. And how does she handle all that? How does she get it all done? I don't even know how she can do it. So that approval, validation feels really good, and we can crave that become addicted to that. And it can also show up because we're maybe over-functioning at work, we overfunction at home. You might work all day long, take on perhaps more than your fair share of what you could or should be doing. And then you may have to come home and if you have a family, then you take care of the family and you start your second shift at home, over functioning. And then the other thing that can end up being tied to the toxic productivity is just disappearing in your relationships. And again, I did a previous episode in the month of February on how we can disappear in work, relationships, and friendships. And if you are disappearing in your relationships, you may end up having signs of toxic productivity as well. You're overdoing and you're losing yourself. You're doing too much in your relationships. You're taking on too much, showing up for others way too much, saying yes all the time, self-abandoning. And so you're disappearing in your relationships. And if you're curious about that piece, you can go back and check that episode out in the month of February. So what is the root? Like, why do we wear the mask of productivity? And oftentimes we will put this mask on because we have a fear that if we're not being super productive and producing, that we might become irrelevant. And that I know was for sure the case for me, because I was, as many of you have heard this story many times on this podcast, where I was a performer, perfectionist, producer since high school. And when I wasn't achieving and I didn't have all the accolades and I didn't have the validation and there was like nothing, it was crickets, silence, I went to a place of feeling like I was invisible. And actually, long before I started to wear the mask of pleasing, performing, and perfecting, which was around the age of 10, there were so many times in my life that I did feel invisible, which is why I started to wear those masks. So there's this deep fear that if I'm not shining in that way, with all the accolades, all the achievements, all the producing and accomplishments, that I will become irrelevant. And my guess is that's very true for you as well. We also may fear, along the lines of becoming irrelevant, we may have a deep-rooted fear, or just a fear that we will be replaced by someone who is more productive and someone who is more high achieving and high functioning. Because at the end of the day, like, maybe we might go to the place who wants a person who's just peaceful and just going through life and not this long list of achievements to show on his or her resume. We may also feel like we are being too much or not enough. I always say that they're two sides of the same coin, or 180 degrees from sick is still sick. So if you're on the side of too muchness, or there's the one side of too muchness, or you're like on the other side of not enoughness. And then, as I just mentioned a few moments ago, which was the case for me from the age of 10 on, you may have grown up in the role, like you had a childhood role of being the superhero. You were the achiever. You were the responsible one. You were the competent one. You're the one that people go to when something needs to get done. And so those are all root causes as to why this toxic productivity can show up for us. And what we have to try to understand is that when we do rest or allow ourselves to just be still, we may feel as if that stillness, that rest is unsafe. Now, let me explain why. Our nervous systems were trained and conditioned to believe that if we were resting or we were still, just being human beings, that maybe that equated to vulnerability. If you think about all the times when you're a little bit quiet or a little bit still, that's when a lot of emotions and feelings can rise to the surface. And then all of a sudden we're like, I don't want to deal, I don't want to feel that. It's too uncomfortable. And so then we go right back to the place of being productive, and this toxic productivity starts to kick in again. So again, our nervous systems have learned or equated rest and stillness with danger. Almost, it feels dangerous, even though it's not dangerous to feel our feelings or to have things come up. Our nervous systems think it is. So that's like another way of thinking about why we go to this place of being overproductive, this toxic productivity. So what I want to now share, and again, I'm going to, in just a minute or two, do another meditation with you as I did in the last episode, because I promised that for the month of March, this month, that I would do a short meditation at the end so that it can help our bodies to really be trained. Like we're developing a muscle, that it is safe to rest, to slow down, to take a pause, to be still, right? So, because at the end of the day, if we are overdoing, overfunctioning, overworking, that's more of like a fight type of response. It's this nervous system activation. And if we become hyper efficient, it may be that we are feeling anxious in reality. So what we want to do is be aware of the times when we are in this place of overworking, over-functioning, being hyper efficient or hyper vigilant, hyper competent, any of those patterns, any of those masks. When we notice that it's coming up for us, we can pause and we can breathe, and then we can reframe. Because at the end of the day, being productive is not a bad thing. In and of itself, being productive is not a bad thing. Obviously, shit needs to get done at times, right? Let's just be real about that. But there is a difference in the energy that you have when you approach it, because healthy productivity would feel like and look like you're grounded. You're making a choice, a conscious choice to do the thing you're doing. And it feels way more spacious versus the toxic productivity, the unhealthy productivity feels very urgent. It feels very urgent, and it feels compulsive. I have to do this. I have to check this off. I have to check this off. I have to check this off. And again, it's fear-driven, the fears that I mentioned just a few minutes ago. So see how there's a difference between having healthy productivity and toxic productivity. And so once again, developing a practice of meditation and mindfulness is going to help you to have more of the healthy productivity, and it's going to help you to become more aware when you're wearing the mask of the toxic productivity.
Before we keep going, I want to take a moment to share something really close to my heart. If you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, wow, this feels familiar, the people pleasing, the perfectionism, the constant self pressure, I wrote a book just for you. It's called Free to Be, A Pathway to Inner Liberation, and it's part memoir, part healing guide. I share my own journey of learning how to stop living in victimhood, take off the masks, and come home to myself, but not by fixing myself, by understanding my patterns with compassion. This isn't a book full of fluff or quick fixes. It's honest, it's grounding, and it's for anyone who's ready to live with more peace and freedom. You can find Free to Be on Amazon. And if the book resonates with you, I would be so grateful if you would take a moment to leave a review. Even a few words can really help others to find it.
So let me end by asking you this question, and then we'll move into a meditation. If you weren't trying to prove anything to anyone anymore, what do you think you would stop doing? And then if you're super brave, maybe you share with me. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can put it in the comments section. And if you're listening to this on your favorite platform, you can always just email me if you want to, kim@kimgrosscoaching.com. I would love to hear what you would be willing to stop doing, or what you would want even. Maybe you're not willing yet, but you would want to stop doing this thing if you weren't trying to prove anything to anyone any longer. Okay, so now I invite you. And once again, I'll first say that if you are driving a car, I would encourage you strongly to pull over and not do a meditation while driving. So you pull over, park, and then I invite you to start by softening your eyes, closing your eyes, if that feels comfortable. And then let's take 2 deep breaths in together. The first one in through the nose. Hold it at the top and slowly let it out. Let's do that one more time. In through the nose and slowly let it out. And now you can just resume your normal, natural breathing pattern, not forcing anything. And just noticing how your body is feeling in this moment. Do you feel tension? Do you feel tightness? Do you feel a sense of urgency that you have to hurry this up because you have somewhere to be? You have something to do. And if you are feeling that energy? Where does it show up in your body? Is it in your jaw? Perhaps it's in your neck, your shoulders. Maybe your belly is tight. It's in shambles. Your gut isn't happy with you. You're having gut issues. Maybe you have a headache. Maybe you feel tension right at the center of your forehead. Wherever you might notice that sense of urgency, speeding up. I have to get this done and over with. Just see if you can breathe into it. Just allowing the muscles in that area to just relax, release any tension, softening the muscles, just softening your whole body. Maybe just take a moment, bring your awareness to the top of your head, and imagine this wave of relaxation, the most relaxing feeling you have ever felt in your entire life, just bathing you from the top of your head all the way to the bottom of your feet, bathing your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your back, your hips, arms, hands, thighs, your knees, calves, and feet. Notice if your body is just beginning to soften more. Can you relax it just a little teeny bit more? And if your mind is still in this place of, I have to go, I have things to do, I don't have time for this, just remind yourself there's nothing to do in this moment. There's nowhere to be. Just be here in this moment. Everything will wait. Just focusing on your breathing. Relaxing your body anywhere that it needs it. You don't have to prove anything to anyone to know that you are worthy. You are worthy just because you were born. There's nothing to prove to anyone. You matter, you're worthy, you're important just because you were born. So be productive if you want to be productive. But do it from a place of being grounded, from a place of choice, and a place of spaciousness. You have nothing to prove. So start to wiggle your toes and your fingers, maybe roll your neck a couple of times. Take a big deep breath in through the nose. Slowly let it out. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. I hope that was helpful. I hope that felt grounding for you. And I will see you in the next episode.
As we wrap up today's episode, I just want to say thank you for being here and for taking this time for yourself. If this episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the podcast or leave a review. Even a quick star rating helps more people find this space and reminds the algorithms that these conversations matter. And I'd love to hear from you. If you have a question, a takeaway, or something that came up while you were listening, leave a comment or send it in. Let's keep the conversation going. This podcast isn't meant to be a one-way street. It's meant to feel like a community. If you want to learn more about me, my work, or the ways we can go deeper together, you can visit my website. All the details are there. Until next time, take a breath, take the mask off, and be gentle with yourself. I'll see you soon.